Namaskar. Good morning, dear devotees and friends. So today will be the last class on this Yoga Vasishta, because this year in December it will end, or this is the last Sunday. And as you all know, the January and February we take off, so we will again meet in March. But this is the last class on a very, very interesting topic, that everything is nothing but Brahman. So let us begin. We are a little late because of some problem in the computer. It was not working properly. It has become old, we have to change it. So anyway, let us begin with this stotra. Dikaladi anabachinna Ananta Chinmatra Murtaye Swanubhuti Ekamanaya Namah Shantaya Tejase. I salute the Supreme Brahman, who is beyond all qualities, tranquil, beyond the limitations of the directions, space, time or objects, who alone is the embodiment of infinite consciousness, and who is to be known only through the proof of one's own experience. If Brahman is the only one existence, then what is this world? That is exactly what the Vasishta, the Guru, is going to teach the young Rama. So we will begin with that. We concluded our last Sunday discourse by quoting Vasishta Muni, who said, Ajnasya dukkha aghamayam jnasya anandamayam jagat. Now then, next line he gave an example. In one line he is telling Ajnasya, for the ignorant. Jna is the knowledge, or the negative, one who is not having the knowledge. What type of knowledge? The knowledge of the Brahman, knowledge of the consciousness, knowledge of the self. That is, maybe he is a very good scientist or a doctor, engineer, whatever. That is separate. When the scripture talk about the knowledge, it is only about the knowledge of Brahman. So Ajnasya dukkha aghamayam. Now, they are for the world full of suffering. Dukkha agamayam, full of suffering. Why? Because the person couldn't understand that behind everything is nothing but that supreme reality. That is the Brahman, that is the consciousness. Instead, it takes the different varieties, the different names and forms as real. And when we are going to accept that as real and trying to get joy, peace, happiness and stability from those temporary things, obviously dukkham, obviously suffering. So this is the teachings of the Vedanta. Ajnasya dukkha aghamayam. Those who do not understand the reality, that everything is nothing but the consciousness, but accept those varieties, they suffer. It is like accepting the waves and not understanding the ocean at all. So naturally it won't function, it won't work. The suffering will be waves, a huge wave. I go and embrace the wave, I say, oh, it is mine, but then afterwards again it goes flat and it becomes the ocean again. But if we accept the ocean, then there is no problem. Even the waves are also coming as a part of the ocean. So that is called ajna. When we deny the existence of the consciousness, rather try to accept all the differences of the names and forms, that is working on that, this suffering. Agyasya dukkha agamayam. Then Gyasya Anandamayam Jagat. The same thing. Same Jagat. When I know that it is nothing but the consciousness, so many varieties of people, so many varieties of animals, the birds, the reptiles, the trees, I know it is nothing but the same consciousness. For him it is all joy. Everywhere it is the same joy. Andham bhuvanam andhasya prakasham tu sachakshushaha. Then giving an example. So whether there is a beautiful moon in the night, the full moon night, so those who are having the eyes, then they are enjoying that. Those who are having no eyes, the unfortunate people, those who are blind, for them whether moon is there or sun is there, the same. So for that is a Sachakshusha, the man with the sight, the Prakashakam, they enjoy. That is, by saying that, we concluded the last of our discourse, and here we begin. Now the Rishi is taking us one step forward. He said, those who are understanding the consciousness as the basis of all the names and forms differences, I am repeating the same thing to bring it home clearly, the idea that it is all one, though we perceive, though we see, though we think that it is many. It is actually one. So one, those who understand that, for them it is full of joy. Those who think it is many, for them it is full of misery. After that, the Rishi is taking us one step forward, and he said, now the Rishi is telling the truth by saying, O Rama, the world is Brahman. The world is Brahman. This is very surprising. It's a very bold statement. All through the scriptures teaching us to give up this world and accept Brahman, now the Rishi is telling that this world is Brahman. Rishi is telling, Aditya abhyatirekena rashmaya ena bhavitaha aditya evate tasya nirvikalpa sa uchyate. One who understands that the rays and the sun are one. He is giving an example. Friends, as a student of Vedanta, we all know, in no way one can give the definition of the Brahman or the consciousness. It is just in the beginning we are saying every time that it is the direct perception. Only through the direct perception one can understand it, otherwise not. So here only through the example is giving some idea. Aditya abhyatirekena rashmaya ena bhavitaha aditya evate tasya nirvikalpa sa uchyate. One who understands that the rays and the sun are one and the same, they are not different, nirvikalpa sa uchyate. He is free from any imagination. Is all clear. Rays are created out of sun. Similarly, world is created out of Brahman. The example is given. And in the Upanishads also, the Upanishads are the scriptures, and they are Prakarana Grantha. They go straight to the subject. And the scripture, the Shastra, they give many examples and stories, but Prakarana Grantha, they were only to the subject directly. So what is the subject? Brahman. And how to explain that Brahman? Look at the sky. What do you see? The sun. And do you see the sun and the sun rays are one or separate? If you think the sun rays are separate and sun is separate, for you it is, this Vedanta is not for you. And those who understand it very clearly, anyone will understand the sun rays and the sun are same. Then applying that same analogy, then you can understand that this world, though so many varieties are there, but still it is all from the Brahman. Why? We go back to the creation. The Vedantins say that suddenly, when there was nothing, it was only one that was there, as if the one started thinking, ekaham bahushyamavihi. In my many discourses in the talks, many times the creation has come. Why, friends? This is unless and until we can understand and we can analyze the creation, we will never be able to get the idea of the creator. The creator and the creation. From the point of view of the Hindus, from the point of view of the Vedantin, it is only the one, and from that one everything has been created. In other religion also says the God has created. But what is this one? Now the Hindus goes to the very subtle discussion, and he said, is it like, many times we have discussed, is it like the one tree, a tamarind tree, among the other apple trees? So it is only one tamarind tree among the other trees, which are of the apple trees. Can we say the Brahman is like that? It is one means many are there, but it is special. It is not like that. Or is it like all this way the differences they will? So Sajatiya Veda, Bijatiya Veda, Swagata Veda, they will be analyzing in a very, very critical way. Is it like a person who is having 2 hands and 2 legs and 2 ears and the nose? Like that? No, even not that. It's not having any other thing except that consciousness. The one means that. In many philosophy they say talk about the one, but that one sometimes including and sometimes excluding. No, it is not like that. It is only one comprehensive one where there will be nothing and nothing else. So when one is there, that one, as if we do not know, because of the creation when you think about, and as long as we are thinking this creation is real, so long we have to accept this, that the creation was created by the Creator. Out of what? Then all these discussions are coming because we accept the creation as real. Otherwise there is no question. Shankaracharya's guru's guru, Gaudapada, he will never ask this question. There is no question at all. The Ashtavakra Muni never asks this question at all. So that is the highest Vedanta, and they say, I am not born at all. And why you are talking about the bondage and why you are talking about the liberation? Who is going to be liberated? I am never bound by anything. I am always here. It is like someone was sleeping and in the dream he found that he is lost in the jungle and all around there are so many dangerous things are there, and he was so much afraid and he thought that he is going to die. He cried out, and because of that sound of his own, his dream is broken. He sit on his bed, though perspiring and gasping, but feel, oh no, I am sitting in my room. It's just like that. We are so much afraid of this world, and because my ego is there, because of the ego we are separate from the God, And because of the ego, I am always concerned. I am not going to be insulted by this man or that man, this thing, that thing. I am so much concerned about myself that I should not do any wrong thing so that people will blame me or this. And I am always careful that I should be appreciated by the society. But what is the society? The dream is going on. Then suppose you are not appreciated, and then you are in such a gloomy mental condition, you decide to kill yourself, and you are thinking to kill yourself, and suddenly something happened, and these dreams that you were dreaming while awake breaks. Then what will happen? If the Bhagavan Sri Ramakrishna comes and touch you, as he did on the 1st January, as he did to that young Narendra, who was thinking that all are separate, it cannot be the one, and he was not accepting the words of Bhagavan Sri Ramakrishna. He was then very young, 17, 18 years, and he was thinking of so many other philosophies also was in his head. Then when Sri Ramakrishna said, I see everything, this goddess Mother Kali, and that cat, and these utensils, and that building, everything is nothing but the consciousness. Naren could not accept it, and he was cutting jokes. Oh, you see, even the utensils are Brahman. So he was making fun. When the Sri Ramakrishna came, he touched him just by the touch. He was Brahman himself. Sri Ramakrishna, that power came in that form. He touched the Naren. Immediately, Naren saw everything is nothing but consciousness. So that is called direct experience, and there is no doubt then. No doubt will be there. So we are discussing to dispel these doubts. So, and this is nothing but the consciousness. And he says, like the sun and the sun rays. The sun rays and the sun are the same. The same analogy, same type of, they will discuss the same way to bring this truth to home, to understand, we can understand that. Nirvikalpa sa uchyate, he is free from the imagination. When we break our dream and we become awake, as we feel, oh my God, that was a dream. I never was in that. Similarly, with that grace of that divinity, if we truly break the dream that we are dreaming while awake, thinking that there are so many names and forms, when we can see, we can understand it is nothing but the one. As Sri Ramakrishna's touch gave that experience to the young Narendra, then we will understand all the varieties that we see is nothing but the one, and this world is nothing but Brahman, and all problem will be solved. When we take the world as world, and then we are thinking that God is separate, and this duality is always giving us the fear, I am going to lose this. There is nothing to lose at all. So from the Vedantic point of view, nothing to lose. There is Vedantic point of view, there is no bondage. The Vedantic point of view, there is no misery, nothing at all. How to go to that? You have to break the dream. And who can break the dream? Who can understand the teachings of the Vasishtha Muni? As Vasishtha is telling the young Rama, Jagat means name and forms. If that is covered by the consciousness, then there will be no separation from Brahman. These names and forms, and when we cover that, now I saw one person, the very lovely two little kids, they came into that house. But that elderly man was not very happy. He was looking at them and trying to tell them, go out, you are not welcome over here. The children are children, they don't understand, they're very simple. They were looking at that gentleman. They were smiling. They were expecting some love, affection. But the gentleman was stubborn, and he told, no, you go away and ask someone, take these kids to outside. I was wondering, but it is a personal thing, so I didn't say anything. I was wondering why. Then afterwards I came to know they are his sons, the children. But he is having a very bad relation with his son. Now, because he didn't see the kids, he saw the son in them. His son, as he was telling, betrayed him. The son he never liked. Now, this moment he is not liking. So all those things came on those kids. They are not at blame. They did nothing. 3 years, 4 years old, what they will do. And so sweet and so loving. But this gentleman couldn't love them, couldn't like them. Why? He didn't see those kids. He saw his son in them. It's a negative way, going back to the source, isn't it? I'm not seeing the kids. I'm seeing the son with whom I am not in a very good relation. So that means if we analyze, though there are two, a brother and a sister, though they are innocent, even then I don't see those two innocent faces. I see the face of my son whom I don't like now. So the two became one. How? I imagine. And same way, suppose just in an opposite way, if we apply, all that we see all around us is nothing but the consciousness that Brahman. Then what will happen? Suppose this man, in another way, he loves his son so much. Now the son's children are coming, grandchildren. So obviously, as a grandfather, the greatest love for the grandchildren, and he will go and take them on his lap, and he will give them the toys and all that. All the affection will come. Why? Because I like my son and they are the children of my son. So everything goes in this way. Now he is not happy with the son, so children also could not make him happy. He is putting his own thought of the son on them. Similarly, if we just take it in other way and apply, as the Vasishtha is telling, O Rama, this world is Brahman, and in this world there are so many varieties, many things that I don't like. But as the Rishi has said and taught to Sri Rama, let us also learn and say, this world is nothing but Brahman. And how can I discriminate? Let me enjoy. There are so many things are going on, but the same Brahman, dressed in different form and taking different name, is acting. Let me enjoy that. So that is another way, the positive way to understand this Brahman. And in the Isha Upanishad also, the very first verse of the Isha Upanishad, it says like that. So this is philosophy. This is spirituality. It never talk about, hey, don't tell lies, don't beat others, don't cheat others, don't create problem for others. All those are basic, normal things that any society should do. And if you are not doing, immediately the law of the land will punish you. So the basic morality, that is not religion. The basic morality imposed on you through the laws of the country. Why? Because by nature we are animals, and we just like to go and grab others, snatch things from others. Just for my joy I can do. Now the society is there, the rules are there, the police is there, the lawmakers are there. to set it in such a way. And the spiritual people will come and say that don't cheat, don't beat, don't kill, don't do this. They are all basic moral things. And when you are done with those things and you are perfectly moral, then you have to come to this teaching. The religion means step by step you are going towards the truth. And when you are entering into the university of religion, no question of teaching the morality. You have already practiced that. Shama, Dhamma, Upurati, Titiksha, all are done. You are ready. You are now very intelligent. You are going to finish your study in the university. And a very specific thing that you are going to learn, and that is Brahman. And after learning that Brahman, there is nothing left to learn. Because you, after learning Brahman, realizing Brahman, understanding that I am that Brahman, nothing left to know anything. So that is the ultimate truth of the Vedanta. So Vedanta goes beyond all these things. You read the Upanishads, there is a basic Shiksha Kalpa. They will teach you in the Taittiriya Upanishad, Satyam Bada, Dharmam Chara, etc., etc. You should tell the truth, you must practice truth, and you should practice all the dharma, the righteousness, all these basic things. But then you entered into the Upanishad, the very first line will tell you, Ishavashamidam sarvam yat kincha jagatyam jagat. This is called Upanishad. And this is called the Vedanta. And it is not that basic things should not be practiced. It must. Otherwise, we will never be able to understand this grand truth. And what is that? Cover everything with the consciousness. Isha Vashyam. You must cover everything. The world should be covered by the self. Idam sarvam, idam, this world, the name and form, so many varieties, sarvam, everything. As Bhagavan Sri Ramakrishna, he realized the cat and the goddess, that image, whom he worshipped all 12, 13, 14 years, and completely dedicated way, then he saw that goddess and the cat and the lady who was not of good name, good fame, and the utensils and the building, everything same. In the beginning, he could not worship the cat or the utensils. No, it is not possible. So we go slowly, step by step, and ultimately when you reach over there, and what do you see? That Sri Ramakrishna is telling, when he offering the food to the mother, he said, oh, you want me to eat? Sri Ramakrishna is eating, and that same thing he is offering to the mother. Can you imagine? Then for Sri Ramakrishna at that moment, there is no difference between that Mother Kali, the chosen deity, and he was worshipping, and he, both are same. And that is the acme, that is the ultimate goal of all real religion. To become one, no difference. So the Rishi is teaching Sri Ramachandra, who had all the basic thing, who was ready to understand this. He said, Rama, this world is nothing but Brahman. How? Because you have to see the truth in that. If you are seeing varieties, you won't understand. They go beyond the variety, then we will get the wonderful examples to understand this truth. This is very complicated, very subtle. And unless and until our mind is very pure and one-pointed and very subtle, difficult to understand. But the Rishi, he will give, and the other scriptures also, they will say, this is, the Ishopanishad says like that. And what we have to give up? 3 desires. In the Brihadaranyaka Upanishad, it says, there are Putraishana, Eshana means the desire. What is that putra? Progeny. The son, daughter and family. That is the basic thing for each and every one. The progeny. Then vittaishana. That is the wealth. I need these. Many rich people, many other people, after the marriage, if they are not having the children, generally they say, I like to adopt someone. Why? Putraishana. The child will grow before me. I am feeding the child and baby is growing up. These, that, all those things. It's like a play. When the young age, the little young girls, they are playing with the dolls. The same way also after the grown up, they like to play with the living kids. So they'll be feeding them, whether they are sleeping, whether these, whether that. Afterwards, slowly, when they're growing up, so many problem comes from the children. That is also one of the part of family life. It goes on like that. Then ultimately what will happen in this country we see, and also because of the modern economy, the condition, the children cannot remain in one place. They have to go out somewhere to earn. They leave the parents and go somewhere. Only over phone maybe they'll be talking. There is no personal that way. The company, even then, the mind thinks it belongs to me. So this is called world, imaginative world. I am thinking he belongs to me. I am thinking. So that if you can give up this putraishana, the progeny, desire for the progeny, vittaishana, desire for the wealth, whatever has come, it is sufficient. And then lokaishana, popularity. For the most of the people, these three. And for those who somehow, because of their past karma phala, they can give up the putraishana and vittaishana, the last hurdle is very subtle and very strong. So that is called lokaishana. Whether the people are appreciating me or not, that popularity, that binds those people, even the greatest souls also. With that, one of our Swamiji is not ready. He refused to. I requested him to give a talk. In the 1st January, you will listen to him. But he told, no, I am not going to look at the camera. The people will see me. The people like to see you, like to listen to you, but he won't. So this is because I don't like to be popular. I don't like people should appreciate me, these, that. So these, from the mind, they have given up. But somehow I requested, and through their other Swamis, he has given the talk. And those who have registered, you will be able to listen to these great Swamis. They are not great speakers, but in the whole life, they have practiced this truth, realized this truth, and that their words, and even when you look at them, that gives us the blessing. So the 1st January from morning 10 to 12, these are the timing. So this way we have putraishana, vittaishana and lokaishana, the popularity, we have to give up. Then what we should do? All that we see, we have to cover with the consciousness. Cover means only Brahman exists and nothing else. How to cover? As we are covering the body with this shirt and all the... No, nothing like that. Thinking that only Brahman exists and nothing else. From the point of view of the dualist, this is also goes like this. They will say, Yatra yatra netra pare, tatra tatra Krishna's fure. Wherever when I am the look, whatever I see is nothing but the Krishna. Wherever I am turning and see the tree, oh, this is the Krishna. I see the bird, oh, beautiful, this is my Lord Krishna. So this is the way it always goes. Friends, when we are reading the Bhagavata, and there also the Avadhuta comes, and the Avadhuta is learning from the and then from the nature, from the bird, from different things. But that is, we are learning from that, but this is seeing that as God, accepting that as God, a completely different thing. So this, it says, yatra yatra netra pade, wherever I see, wherever I look, whatever I see is nothing but the manifestation of my Krishna, the dualist. So they have a God, they have goddesses, a separate dualist, but the same idea. It's nothing but the God. God is everywhere. So it goes back to Vishnu. All this is nothing but the duality is from the Vishnu. And the Vishnu means all pervading God. And Vedanta say all pervading consciousness. This is the difference. But it is all pervading. Rishi Vasishta teaching the young Rama, who was desirous to renounce the world and remove all these names and form, and what remains, accept that. O Rama, remove all the names and forms. What will be there? Only consciousness. Accept that. And that is called Brahman. This world is nothing but Brahman. If we remove the names and form, the consciousness will remain. Like the sun and its rays, accepting rays separately is dualism. And if the sun and the ray are one, it is Advaitim. Aparakshanubhuti, another famous Advaita Vedanta scripture, it supports this idea by saying, now again the example, and there is no other way but the example, because you cannot say this is Brahman. You can give the idea about Brahman. The pratyaksha, the direct knowledge, it depends on you, depends on me, depends on the person who is trying to understand. So what the others are doing, are trying to give us the analogies, the examples, and so by that way only the anumana, and the anumana we are trying to understand that. What is that anumana? Now like this. Yatha taranga kalloloi. Yatha taranga kalloloi. Jalamiva spuratalam patra rupena tamgri and brahmando goistathatma. Yatha taranga kalloloi. Kalloloi means the ocean. Jalamiva spuratalam, where waves are nothing but the water. Kallol means that waves of the water. Yatha taranga kallol. Taranga is the waves. Nothing but the water. So example is giving taranga, the waves, that is nothing but the water. Now if I separate the water and the waves, then it is my fault. We never do that. We understand that these waves and the water are the same. Again, another example is giving, the copper pot is nothing but the copper. The pot, the name and form is there. It's a copper glass. It's a copper tumbler. Name and form is there, but in basically it's a copper. So same way, it is basically water. Though the names may be different, forms may be different. And same an analogy, the self manifests as the universe. The self is manifesting as the universe. Friends, this is the way again and again the Vedanta takes us to the ultimate truth. Nothing but the Brahman. Everything is nothing but Brahman. In the next verse, and the same Aparakshanubhuti, it gives more example to clarify the idea of oneness in many. Ghatam Atma Yatha Prithvi Patamna Hi Tantabaha Jagannamna Chidabhati Giyam Tadbat Bhavataha. Earthen pot is nothing but the earth. Gata means the pot. And that namna, is the name is the pot. When you go to purchase an earthen pot, do you go and tell the sailor, the shopkeeper, hey, give me that earth? No, we don't say like that. And he will be confused. What is that earth? But the earthen pot has a name and also a form. Sometimes they are short and the fat type. You can keep lot of water into that. Sometimes it is narrow, tall. So they have different forms, different names. Oh, this is a pitcher, that is a that. So they will be telling like that. But basically, it's all art. Every day, friends, we are coming into all this. We know all this. Now the Vedanta using those things for their analogy and telling, are you not knowing that so many different varieties of earthen pots, their names and forms are different and they are used for different purposes, but basically they are nothing but the earth. This is Vedantic way of understanding. So we go to the root, we try to understand that, and we go to one. There's so many varieties of wooden things are there. Maybe chair, maybe table, maybe so many things. But when you go back to that root, it is nothing but the wood. So Vedanta will teach you all the time, apply this analogy, apply this analysis, apply this thinking process to analyze this world. What is this world? There are different 5 materials are there. The earth, the air, and the fire, and the water, and the space. Only these 5. And if you are taking all these 5 together, what it goes? Consciousness. If consciousness is not there, it is of no value. No one would like that. Within this body there is consciousness. So we like this body. If the body, the consciousness leave this body, it's a dead body. People will burn it or bury it. It has no value. Similarly, the world is made of all these that we see is nothing but the consciousness. So we are learning like this. First they said the sun and the sun rays, are they different? No. The waves and the water, are they different? No. The copper and metal and the different things that have come out of that metal, they have made out of that metal, are they different? No. The pot, the earthen pot and the earth, are they different? No. And the tantavaha, patamma hi tantavaha, it says the threads together become cloth. See, a very simple example they are giving. The earth has made so many earthen pots, but it is basically earth. So go to the root. So many threads had made this cloth. Go to the root. And same way, this Jagat is nothing but the consciousness. And know that known is this world. The consciousness that has made this world. And know this world as consciousness. Then what will happen? Our attitude, our behavior will change. In Vedanta, to reach the absolute one, they give many, they give up many. To reach to the conclusion, to the one, the absolute one, they give up the many. And this process is known as neti neti bhavana. Neti neti bhavana. Not this, that is the process. The practice of negation. Not this, not this, not this. After the realization of the one, the same Vedantin practices iti bhavana. Neti neti, not this, not this. Iti, this is that. The same Vedantin, they will go in this way, they will practice, they will accept it. This is nothing but the Brahman. Bhagavan Sri Ramakrishna gives a beautiful example on this. He says, the one person, he wanted to reach the top, the roof, and that person is going on one after another, stepping on the steps, the staircase, and he's telling, not this, this is not the roof, this is not, this is not. Roof must be something else. We are going to search the God, and when we are going to search the God, when you see, oh, this is not God, so we should not take this. Oh, that is not God, we should not accept it. Oh, this human being, no, this is not God. Oh, that animal, no, this is not God. Exactly like that. He goes on stepping one after another and say, neti, neti, not this, not this. Then ultimately when he reaches on the roof, what he sees? The same material that has been used to construct that roof, the same thing has been used to make the steps also. The staircase that we see is made of the same material. The Sri Ramakrishna, when he used to go to different houses, he saw that and he gave that example. So this is neti, neti, bhavanaya becomes iti, iti. The teaching should be iti, iti. And the Vedantin means, many people they write to us, we like to learn Vedanta. And what is this Vedanta? Friends, again, before jumping on this conclusion that I like to learn Vedanta, you have to prepare yourself for that. And for the preparation, the Vedanta says, you have to go through, pass through 4 things. And that in the Vivek Chudamani, it is there. The Viveka, Vairagya, Shadasampatti, Mumukshuta. These are the 4 qualities. Viveka, the Vichara. Then Vairagya, the capacity to give up. The Vichara, everything you have to go on, and your mind, naturally, it will be influenced. We are born in this. The Maya is there, that influence is there. But a person going on discriminating, analyzing, and accepting, oh, this man is behaving with me in this way. Maybe there's something has happened. I am not accepting that. In the beginning, it may affect your mind. Why he or she is behaving like this? But immediately you analyze, no, let him or her do that. I am not going to be affected. I go in my own way, analyzing and giving up. All those things for them, that may be very interesting, but for you, nothing. So, Viveka Vairagya. Vairagya means give up. And then, Shadasampatti, the 6 wonderful divine qualities, spiritual qualities that you have to practice. Then, ultimately, Mumukshuta, the constant desire to understand the truth. One pointed desire to understand the truth, and very forceful desire to understand the truth. That is called Mumukshuta. In Sanskrit, they call Mumukshuta means Mukti Ichha. You want to get the liberation from the bondage. And what is the bondage? Desires. So when you have given up all the desires, and how many desires? 3 only. So Hindus are always very specific. Lokaishana, Vittaishana, Putraishana. The progeny, desire for the progeny, desire for the wealth, desire for the popularity. So when you give up those things, now you are ready. So before jumping into the conclusion, I like to be a Vedantin. You love to read Vedanta? No problem. Read the Vedanta. You must. Because that is the ultimate knowledge. One day all will come to that. And like the Jesus one day, God bless us, one day we will be able to say, I and my Father in heaven are one. We are not separate. And we will be able to say, Aham Brahmasmi. I am that Brahman, I am not separate. So on the basis of that, Swami Vivekananda, he utilized this knowledge in a very practical way. That is called practical Vedanta. What is that practical Vedanta? Apply the theory for some work. What is the theory? Everything is nothing but God. Then when you see a person is suffering, is he not God? When you see a person is dying, is he not God? Then why don't you go and serve them? When in a library you are sitting, reading the book and closing your eyes and thinking everything is all Brahman. That's good. Now that theory you must apply. And without being attached to those things, I am going to serve the poor, all these reporters should also come along with me. When I am giving a bread to the poor, they should take the photo and that will be published. A great person giving a bread to the poor. No, that is not. That is all hypocrisy. But love for those, whatever the capacity that we are having, if we can give it for the service of those people, what we gain? Knowledge. What is that knowledge? All is nothing but that Brahman. And then what we ultimately get? You get complete liberation from the bondage, from all the karma phalas. And you get supreme joy and bliss. Because the one drop of water that you are, you become the ocean, mixing with the ocean. Swami Vivekananda, that's why he said, it is a sin to call a man sinner. No. The people, they may commit mistakes, but they are not sinners. In the Jesus also said, hate the sin, the action, not the sinner, the person. Because that sinner may one day become a great sage. We do not know. And the Hindus, they believe it. The great person who has completely written the Ramayana was a dangerous person before. He came in contact with a guru and completely transformed. Anything may happen. It is all mind only. The thoughts only. The moment the thoughts are negative, you are a bad person. When the thoughts are positive, you are a holy person. So Swami Vivekananda applied that, and that is called Karma Yoga. And in the Karma Yoga he says, go and serve. But whom you are serving? A poor person? No. A living God came in that form to take your help. When you were cooking, when you were cleaning, when you were writing, when you were reading, when you were sleeping, when you were eating, every moment, if we can think that I am actually living in that consciousness, that is the teaching. The Rishi, the Guru, Vasishtha, he is telling to that young Sri Ramachandra, O Rama, why you are giving up this world? This world is nothing but that Brahman. So this is the positive idea, no negative. Thank you, friends. And we will meet again after 2 months, January and February. So by that time, if you are reading this book, it will be good, and then we'll come and meet again. We will start from here. Maybe there is a question?
Yes, ma'am. The first question from Sanhita Banerjee. She is asking, how do we console our failures in our life?
Oh, that is a beautiful question. Very good. Nice question. How do we console our failure in our life? Console, why should you console? You should bless the failures. Swami Vivekananda said, I bless my failures. I bless my follies. Do you understand that? That because that failure, I understood what I should do. I rectify myself. You know, the Kabir, he blessed his critics. And he said, they are so good because they are cleaning all my dirty things that is there in my mind. So that way, the people who are criticizing me, instead of immediately taking this decision, oh, they are my critic, I don't like to talk to them, instead, if we analyze what they are telling, and is it there that those things are there in me, then I can uproot those things. I can make myself much better. Because I sometimes don't understand what are the problems with me. They can see from the outside. And when they're telling it, don't take it negatively. Rather take it positively. Oh, they say, you are arrogant. Is it? Maybe. When I go and talk, I shout. But though I don't mean that, but my nature is that. I have to rectify myself. Physically, I go as if I'm aggressive, going like that. So I should be humble. Yeah, well. So as they are pointing it, so I must learn. So every time you place all your mistakes, all your follies, all your criticism, and you become perfect and perfect and perfect. Friends, I will tell you one story that happened over here in New York, in America. The one lady, she was a student of Swami Vivekananda, and she used to come from the other side of the park. And in those days, the horse-drawn, the carriages were there, and they used to call tram. It was a public transport. Many people could come. So she used to come by that, completing her own duties in the house, cooking, keeping things properly. And all through the ladies, they do all that. And the society expect the ladies will do like that. So she used to complete all those. Then she used to come and she will open Swami Vivekananda will give the talk. People will come, she will arrange all that. And then she will cook for Swamiji. And there was not much space under the staircase, small space. There she will cook, take the coffee to Swamiji, food to Swamiji. All those things she used to do. Not only that, when the lecture is over, she will be collecting the hat collections. Here in this country, whatever you give, they will always pay for that. Nothing free. So if you have given the talk, a wonderful talk that you have given, well, we like to give you some money. So they used to collect the hat. The hat they will be holding, and people will put the money in that while they're going out. That's called hat collection. She used to do that, count that money, give it to Swamiji. All those things she used to do, and instead Swamiji used to scold her left and right all the time. The one day she became frustrated. She came and told Swamiji, I have a question to you. Why do you scold me so much? Swamiji didn't reply. He was going upstairs again without replying. But she won't give up. She wanted the answer. Then when she again and again requested to give the answer why Swamiji scolded her, you know the reply? Swamiji said, because I love you. I like to see you perfect. Other people making mistakes, but we cannot go and rectify, correct you, because I love you. Maybe the parents, maybe the elderly people, maybe our friends, they like me, love us. So they try to rectify us. And we should not take it in the other way. Thank you. I think this is the only question. And thank you for the beautiful questions, and you are listening. And may the blessings of the all-pervading consciousness, the Supreme Brahman, inspire us and make us one with that Brahman through that knowledge. Thank you, and we will meet again in the March 2021. Let us say Shanti 3 times and we conclude. Om Shanti, 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 Harihi Om Tat Sat. Friends, I have an announcement that we have published a beautiful calendar 2021. The dates will be there, and of course all the programs that we all through the year we do, it will be mentioned over there. But the main thing is every page is having some idea about different religion. because this time the theme is unity in diversity. Well, Bhagavan Sri Ramakrishna is that idea, unity in diversity. So many different religions, and we have given the picture of their place of worship and a beautiful quotation about that religion. If you are interested, you can contact our bookstore, and $15 you can collect it. Thank you very much.